Hello everyone. This is a no damage playthrough of Resident Evil HD Remaster. I'm playing as Jill
Resident Evil
on Invisible Enemy hard mode. I went for the best ending in this run. Even though we're not watching any cutscenes or anything, I still went for the best ending anyway because I wanted to be able to beat the tyrant on the heliport as well. So there's not a whole lot going on for the first minute or so. Just skipping through cutscenes, getting the lockpick. And now we're going through to the actual game. So, no damage means that I don't take any damage throughout the entire game. Invisible enemy means that all the enemies are invisible. Except for reflections, and except for things like dust kicking up and stuff like that. So for the first hallway over here, we're going to pick up these handgun bullets first. Not second, first. Because if you pick them up second, then you're probably going to get bit in the back by the zombie. But grabbing the handgun bullets, not only do you need the handgun bullets for the graveyard, but you also need to aggro that zombie and then lure him back around. The zombies in the graveyard over here. There's no guarantee that you'll be able to dodge them in and out because the first zombie is going to be random coming out of the graveyard anyway, so it's better to just go ahead and use the handgun and kill them off immediately. It's fine. I need the... It's fine. I need the shotgun shells anyway, but... Other than that, the idea is to play through as safely as possible. Grabbing the sword key. Getting out of the graveyard. We got everything. So, kind of following the same general route as a speedrun. Try and clear everything that I can on the first pass. Everything that I have to do on the second pass should be done in such a way that I have to engage enemies as little as possible. Naturally, I'm going to pick up as many defense items as I can grab, simply because it's a good idea, and there's no telling when I will get into a situation where I will be forced to use defense items. The enemies in this game are pretty random. There's another dagger in the bathtub over here. Also an invisible dead zombie. So now we got a dagger and the shotgun. We're just going to trigger the Jill sandwich cutscene.
Oh.
We got to take that inside line as tightly as possible. That dodge can be made about 97% of the time or so. Gonna drop the handgun, the knife, the sword key. Actually, not the sword key. The handgun, the knife, and the fuel canteen. If we follow the speedrun route, then we generally should not have to worry about crimson heads. This is one such instance where I actually did need a dagger. You can retrieve daggers that you lodged in an enemy's head by decapitating them. So daggers are recoverable. Obviously stun grenades and stun guns are not. I think I was having trouble with my controller right here. I used a PS4 controller. Alt controls basically map the D-pad to tank controls and your alt controls to the left analog stick. So there was an invisible zombie, and as long as we hug the outside wall going into that library, pretty much exactly, then we get it. You can also charge right through here. Generally, that's what I like to do. As long as you're quick enough, you will have no problem coming back through here before that zombie turns into a crimson head. Whether you are using door skip or you are not using door skip. I opted to use door skip because personally I can't play this game with doors anymore. Coming up over here are dogs. The first reason we get the shotgun, aside from being able to waste zombies pretty fast. So over here we're gonna head to the corner here, aim down, and wait for that sparkly, which is actually the dog itself, to walk around the corner. If he's moving around the corner, he can't attack. That's pretty much a guaranteed kill. Unfortunately, that zombie just totally tanked that shotgun shell. Certainly not the worst thing to happen this run, but I'm not even sure how I predicted that zombie was all the way up the stairs. I think I heard it. Because like the timing between his steps, I just knew that he was like on top of the stairs. So I had like I guess I just had like an approximate idea of where he was standing. Because I knew he came up the stairs. So we're gonna open this up, grab the coin, turn it into the fake armor key, use it, blah blah blah. And then on the way out, we're just not going to go through the other hallway because now there's a crimson head and 2 zombies in very, very tough positions to dodge. So the better plan for that whole area in general is to just never go back through this hallway again. And if we have to go back to that area, which we do for the giant snake later, then we're only going to access it through the first floor, where there's no enemies. Or at least the enemies are negligible. So now that we have the armor key, we're gonna go grab the grenade launcher. The grenade launcher will be good against certain bosses, but mostly certain enemies. Most specifically hunters, because acid rounds wipe hunters in one shot. Also, by the way, this is not a mod. You can unlock invisible enemy in the main game by completing the game on hard mode or real survival mode. It seems impossible, but if you have all the rooms down to a science, then it's not too difficult to complete. Like, if you know all the positions of all the enemies, and you have a generalized idea of which ammo to pick up and a general route throughout the mansion, then it's not too difficult. So we triggered Richard, now we're running back. We already cleared out the zombies over here. When that zombie busts through, we don't really have to worry about him. We're not going back upstairs again. Gonna go grab the serum. Get rid of the sword key. Dropping the acid shells and the grenade launcher here. Sure is nice to not have to worry about a zombie around that corner. That's why I lit him up when he got to the top of those stairs, so now he won't come at us around the corner. I'm sure, as you can tell by now, my general strategy is to try and kill each zombie as early as possible if I have to go back and forth through the same room multiple times. So now we'll grab the death mask. Resident Evil generally being a game of risk and reward means that if you know in advance where there's going to be enemies versus certain items, you can just straight up avoid certain areas altogether. And the room with the Keeper's Diary is one such area. Forget that room, because there's going to be 2 zombies and all for what? 1 defense item. I would waste more defense items picking up the 1 defense item. Standing in that position, I just go ahead and kill this zombie. Whether he grabs me or not, the idea is to just straight up kill him. Otherwise, he'll follow me into the room when I light the candle. And this guy, well, we're just gonna use a defense item and grab the musical score. If you stab a zombie in the head with a dagger, the dagger will be gone if you exit and re-enter a room. But while you're still in the room, it's good for knowing the position of a zombie as well. So if you're hard at hearing, you can certainly see whether the zombie is still standing up or not. The stun gun will floor a zombie pretty much instantly. Generally, I like to use the stun gun for that particular zombie because the hallway is quite thin, and if he recovers fast enough, he could grab twice. I would rather him not do that. Because the stun gun will not kill a zombie instantly, we're just going to hug the left side wall and run right past him. His grab frames start a lot faster in his grab animation, so we don't really have to worry about him grabbing us. Not unless he reacts late, in which case he does have a chance of grabbing us from behind. We're going to turn the large gear to the right twice. And get the shield key. Then the plan is to deal with Yawn. Generally, if I have to deal with Crimson Heads, then I just try to avoid them altogether by just going through different doors, because there's many, many paths to the mansion. Anyways, the giant snake. So, I'm not going to get the, I'm not going to get Richard's shotgun. I'm just going to grab the death mask, wait around this pillar. I can see him drooling. And I'm going to force his tracking. I'm going to force his tracking to move around the corner. That zombie is still dead from earlier. He hasn't turned into a Crimson Head yet, so as long as the path is followed exactly, he will not resurrect. But if you're playing on easy mode anyway, then, which I imagine a lot of people do, in order to get the invisible enemy trophy, then you don't have to deal with zombies in that hallway anyway, if I recall correctly. We don't gotta worry about the other zombie either. There's no zombie blocking the way into the room where we grab the wind crest. We're grabbing the wind crest so that we can get the magnum. I use the magnum on Plant 42, as well as pretty much all the other bosses. Very rarely against hunters. Because the magnum can kill hunters in one shot, but it's better to just save it for bosses. Because the magnum hits hard and fast. It's going to hit a lot faster than the grenade launcher. So once again, following the same line, shouldn't have to worry about the zombie biting because he doesn't activate unless he actually sees you. Next, grabbing the grenade launcher and the acid rounds. Solving the puzzle here, turn the first picture orange, second picture green, the third picture purple. But I grabbed the grenade launcher there for the Elder Crimson Head. 3 grenades are enough to take down the Elder Crimson Head, as long as you angle it correctly. The Elder Crimson Head will always start off walking, so if you know the correct angle, which I usually do by pressing down, like I just kind of tap down and just like use the D-pad to line it up after I'm aiming. The handgun is largely useless on invisible enemy mode except to poke enemies. Just answering a question in chat. So for the Elder Crimson Head, you can still see him for like a split second while he's still invisible. I pop him once. Grenades generally hard stun Elder Crimson Head on the first shot. Sometimes they don't, but actually no. It's the shotgun that doesn't hard stun him on every shot. But as long as I keep aiming in the same place and waiting for him to get back up, just listening for the end of the getting up animation, then I can just stun lock him to death. No big deal. In case you were wondering about the bee in that cutscene earlier, that was a cutscene. That actually does not count as damage. Pop off another grenade just to get around that guy. Another battery pack there. The solution to this one is to have the red weather vane facing west. And the blue weather vane facing north. Or you could just be like me and completely fuck up the timing. The crows are invisible. As long as you take a specific line and you keep walking, then they won't aggro. I don't want to start running until after I've grabbed these 3 crests. But I believe it is the closer you are to them when you run, the sooner they will aggro. But even if you run from this point on, they shouldn't hit you as long as your lines are straight. But if you feel nervous about it, you can just keep walking the whole time. Recommend that you just move through this room with the D-pad. Just try to stay away from the tombstones, and the crows shouldn't activate. But after that puzzle is done, get the magnum, and exit. So for the Lisa dodge over here, dodging an invisible Lisa, I'm gonna drop the acid shells, and just keep the Magnum for now. Because I'm playing at 120 FPS, the dodge could happen. The dodge pattern is pretty much locked in place for a certain strat, but the timing's a little rough. I walk forward a step and then I start running, because if you walk forward one step, then that will bait out Lisa's forward swing from the left. Just run straight forward and pass her. Wouldn't really say that that dodge is a common run killer. You could also use 3 Magnum bullets to get around her if you're not feeling confident enough. For this next room, you need 3 Magnum bullets. Dogs are not totally invisible. You can see them drooling. You can also see their reflections in the puddle of water directly in front of Jill on the ground. Sometimes, on a very rare occasion, you can actually kill 2 dogs at once, because the Magnum does have piercing properties. But I go ahead and kill pretty much every dog I see, because dogs not only have a very high chance of attacking you from behind, but they are also very, very unpredictable. So it's better to just hit them hard and fast on their spawn points. There's another stun gun bullet in here. Drop the crank and these shotgun shells in here for now. There's going to be another speed loader of Magnum bullets in a second. For this area, I just try to run through this room as quickly as I can. Because if you do it fast enough, then you shouldn't have to worry about the spider that's on the door above Jill getting to the ground all that fast. Also pushing this box over here in order to avoid the tentacle. You can't just push the box over the first hole because the tentacle will come through the other hole. You have your noob traps and then you have your veteran traps. In the case of Remake, that's what I like to call a veteran trap. Because in the first game you would simply push a statue over the hole, but in the second game there's 2 holes, so you have to go over. I lure this zombie in here and use a defense item, pretty much any defense item, but prefer to use a stun gun, because you can't open the door very quickly after he bashes through. You have to wait for the animation of the door to reset before you can leave. But if you wait for him to pop through, then he won't ever leave that bathroom. And you have to go through the area that he initially pops in through multiple times. So just waiting for him to go into the bathroom and using a stun gun on him will just trap him in there forever, and you don't have to worry about going back. I pick up the self-defense gun because the self-defense gun is a free kill against a hunter. Know that we have the control room key. We're going to go in through the shark area. As long as you take a specific line through the sharks, then you shouldn't have to worry about getting hit. So not much to do except push boxes. Yep. Sharks are actually not as random. At least if you are taking the long way around on 120 FPS mode. That is, if you have your VSync disabled and your frame rate set to variable on the PC version, then sharks are actually not as random. Enemies in general, like zombies, are generally a lot more aggressive, but a lot of enemies at the max frame rate the game is capable of, which is 120 FPS, actually have pretty consistent behavior. So the first Lisa dodge and I think the sharks all have like one pattern, but zombies can go through like many, many different patterns. I dare say the game might be easier at lower frame rate values. But for these guys, in general, as long as you don't hit any walls and you stay on the center of this path here, you should be good. If the sharks haven't bitten you by the time you get to the junction and you're still running in a straight line, then they will never bite you. As a matter of fact, they start going in the opposite direction when you get closer to the stairs. Probably because the game wants to make you think you're safe before Neptune gets you.
Emergency. Unknown source of pressure detected. Locking all doors to achieve maximum safety.
So the puzzle here, try to go lower the shutters, then we gotta release the safety. Then try to lower the shutters again. Now we have to check which oil valve we're supposed to hit. I usually just brute force it. Because if you solve it within 2 tries, it's going to be quicker than trying to examine the whiteboard. At least I think so. Shutters down. We can drain the water. Then we can proceed to grab the gallery key from the shark and the speed loader for the Magnum. Speed loader for the Magnum is right there. It's a little bit tough to see, but if you have a keen eye, it's just right there. It's just some sharks flopping around, no big deal. So you could do this either one of 2 ways. You can either barbecue the shark, or you could just be cool like me and just drop into the water, then hold up and left on the D-pad while running until you're at a 90-degree angle. Then you grab the residence key. It's actually a pretty generous window. It's a lot more generous of a window to dodge around the shark than it looks. Of course, if you fuck it up, then you die, but I just do it that way because I can get it correct 99% of the time. The other 1% I'm not paying attention, and I'm just like reading chat while I'm streaming, and I fuck it up. Total Monka S moment though. Avoiding an invisible shark. So now we're going to open this. Right, I forgot. We're playing Jill, so we don't actually fight Plant 42. Instead, we're going to mix up the V-Jolt. Because Barry will just kill the plant for us. The solution is any combination of 3, 5, or 6. Any combination of 3, 5, and 6, rather. Also, you only need 3 empty bottles in order to be able to mix the V-Jolt. What I like to do is I grab the UMB number 3 in the first bottle and the water in the second bottle. Grab the third bottle, then get the UMB number 6, or the yellow 6. Of course, I totally fucked up the mixture there. Fortunately, it wasn't poisonous. So mix 1, 3, and 4. 1 and 3 to get 4. Then mix 4 and 6 to get 10. And of course, I fuck it up again for... I'm not even sure why I fucked it up that many times. Of course I kept going, because this isn't a speed run, so it doesn't even matter that I mess it up. I was just being a little too quick. But in general, you have to mix the puzzle up to number 20. Then I got mixed 1 and 6 to get 17, mix 10 and 17, or 7 to get 17, and mix UMB number 3 with 17 to get the V-Jolt. The solution is in the room. If you look at the addition table on the wall, then it just gives you the solution to this puzzle right there. So now, because we don't have to deal with any sharks or any enemies going back through this room, and because we locked the zombie in the bathroom, you can just go use the V-Jolt and completely skip past the boss. Definitely another good case for using door skip. Now we have to go all the way back to Plant 42. So now we have the key to get in here and just solve the puzzle with the naked lady again. This puzzle is completely 100% artful. I am not getting banned from Twitch or YouTube for it. That completely means that I was able to smuggle porn onto Twitch. So during the cutscene, Barry kills the plant. Also, I was being completely facetious. So now that we're in this room over here, on the way out, we got 3 Magnum rounds left in the chamber. I'm saving the self-defense gun for a hunter, and I'm going to be using the shotgun on some snakes coming up. That first dog is sleeping. We're going to wait until we see the drool on the second dog and pop him too, because he just runs along the same trajectory. Now that we have the shotgun equipped, we're going to feel out these snakes. Hopefully not get bit. I'm sort of pumping the run button a little bit until I hear one of the snakes drop. The first 3 snakes all have static drop positions. So now those guys are done. There's another one. I wasn't sure how far he was, so I popped another shot far away. You can sort of angle your shots a little bit down by tapping down while firing. After this, I just sort of hugged the wall in the corner and avoided the other snake lunging at me. I figured it was going to be a lot safer than trying to shoot it from far away. Suffice it to say, I don't really know snake AI all that well. Because generally I don't shoot snakes. I generally don't have to shoot snakes. So now, most if not all of the halls are repopulated with hunters now. I'm gonna wait for this other hunter to jump. It takes 1, sometimes 2 Magnum rounds to beat them. puzzles are pretty much the same. Nothing that I need to explain that I haven't done in any previous commentary. So there's 3 invisible spiders. There's another box of shotgun shells, but it's too risky to get, so just following a very specific line to get around the 2 spiders over there. I grab the dagger because it sets these zombies in a more favorable position. I always use a stun gun against this zombie. Generally, I've been grabbed enough by other zombies so that I already have the stun gun equipped. But given that a stun gun is like maximum stun pretty much, it just works. Also, I kind of got lucky on that other zombie. I expected him to grab, but he vomited. He actually wasn't supposed to vomit, he was supposed to grab. If I got tagged by that vomit, that would have been the end. Hugging the inside wall next to the elevator, dodges around that other zombie. Now we have an extra 6 magnum rounds, several of which we're going to use against Black Tiger. Some more shotgun shells, another battery pack, then the battery to activate the elevator. So as long as you take the long way around and go in through this room first. If you grab the yellow gem and you pass through the room going downstairs, then 2 hunters will break through the window and pretty much make this area inaccessible. So, after solving the gem room, I just try to leave. A little bit of difficulty figuring out what to take with me, but I'm pretty sure all I needed was the grenade launcher. That's right, I knew something didn't add up. So now we can run through here, through the bottom area. If we try to take either of the doors out up top, then we'll either get hit by Crimson Heads or by Hunters, so it's better to just go down through the first floor. Then we can just get the Mo disc over here and possibly never come back through this area again unless we need shotgun shells, which we can get with the blue jewel. If you didn't push the blue jewel down before Plant 42, then it will already be pushed down during Mansion 2, so you can just go straight up pick it up. A surefire sign of the developers having mercy on the player. So we're going back through this way. The whole reason we're taking this long route to begin with is to avoid Crimson Heads in this hallway over here. Crimson Heads and zombies. So we're going to stair skate up. We're going to pop 3 acid rounds on the snake while it's at the 3rd floor level. Then for the fourth shot, which is the killing shot, we just angle it towards the staircase opening because Yawn will always, always, always be there. Due to its pathing, it always comes out of that area first. So now we're just going to pass all the way back around through the first floor. So we can still see that zombie in the mirror. Just gonna kind of slowly pump, walk, and run in a circle in order to space him out. Then we can just go grab the jewelry box. We shouldn't have to worry about any enemies up to this point either. At any frame rate, you can actually dodge this hunter 100% of the time. By simply holding up. But I go into the save room over here so that I can drop off the shotgun, which I didn't actually need. In the last book, volume 2. And the Mo disc. Just dropping off key items that I don't need until the laboratory. I also should not need the grenade launcher for the rest of the game. So that hunter, if you just hold up on the D-pad, it will never hit you. If you come in from the crow puzzle room, there's always going to be 3 set methods of dodging hunters. Took a specific line backwards. As long as you run that line exactly straight, you shouldn't get bit by by any snakes that you failed to mop up on the first pass. After grabbing the crank, a hunter will show up in this room. We can just go along the inside. The hunter's over here as long as you run the line that you just saw. You will dodge them 100% of the time, whether it's a speed run or a no damage run. I like to solve the box puzzle before turning the hex crank, simply because it's fewer times that I have to visit the inventory. The more I do this, the more I find myself trying to find little speedrun tricks. In order to make it shorter to get past up to the point where I previously had a run end. I have only done this exactly once. So, when Black Tiger comes down, I'm going to hold up and right, go around to his side, and then pop him exactly 4 times, then exit and re-enter the room. So Black Tiger and all of his buddies, all of her buddies, and all of her little spider babies will be dead. Rather, I should say despawned. We grab the knife, chop off the web, and go through. There's also dead bodies in the webbing there. It's a nice touch they added to the GameCube version, to the GameCube remake of RE1. I hope Resident Evil 2 Remake has neat little things like that. Start by pushing that statue 4 times. Turn the crank. Push the statue to the right, just turn it around a couple of times, and push it in the alcove. It's not a terribly difficult puzzle. The way back to the cylinder room is going to be perfectly clear. Dropping off the crank and the knife. Shouldn't need those anymore. But I will be grabbing magnum rounds. those hunters generally don't aggro fast, so you can just run straight through that room, and as long as you're hugging the left side of that camera angle, whether you're coming from the shaft room or going to the shaft room, you shouldn't have to worry about anything except for maybe, I don't know, maybe like 3% of the time the hunter on the far side of that hallway might try to do a decap, but as long as your lines are clean, you shouldn't have to worry about it connecting ever. I think I've only ever encountered that once. Fortunately, it didn't hit me. So for Lisa, what I do is I head to the left, like I trigger that camera angle there to get her to spawn over there, so that she's out of the way of where I'm trying to go, which is to go push the box. We're gonna go down these steps over here. Lisa will spawn on the left of that camera angle instead of in front of the lever over there. So using the broken flamethrower to get out of the whole area is a little bit tricky. But what you gotta do is trigger this camera angle over here again, then go back, pull the lever, and then run all the way around. Stair skate here and a little stair skate there, and ooh, that swing. Lisa was actually not supposed to be that close to me, but fortunately I avoided that swing. So that's probably the second time that I've gotten insanely lucky in this run. The third time being my encounter with the tyrant on the heliport. I keep going in front of item boxes, thinking that I need to grab something. But I don't, not just yet. That zombie is still there. I completely forgot to mention him earlier. The zombie outside of Lisa's cabin. Also, these zombies, you just dodge around them by simply holding up and running to the next door. But the zombie from earlier that I forgot to mention, you just dodge in between a couple of trees. You don't ever have to worry about him grabbing you. So now we got the stone and metal object. The hunter over there, just run in a straight line towards the door. No big deal. As long as you don't mess up the movement, he won't attack you. He generally roars or backsteps anyway before he even does attack. He respawned next to the door to the outside upon coming out of Lord Spencer's study, so you can just run right back through there into the crow painting puzzle. So there's generally not a whole lot that's risky throughout the second half of the game, as you saw, because I just simply took the safest routes throughout the mansion and the underground. Some of it looked a little risky, but if you've played through the game as many times as I have, it's not too terribly difficult. So now we're going to give Barry back his gun so that we fight the tyrant on the heliport. Lisa is moving slowly around. Just waiting for Barry to start shooting Lisa, which results in a hard stun every time. Sometimes Barry will knock Lisa over to the edge, which is the best possible thing that can happen, because it pretty much guarantees that you're going to be able to push over all of the statues, or all of the rocks. But another added benefit to having Barry alive there is that Barry sees Lisa even though she's invisible. Barry will actively track Lisa. Your auto-aim is disabled, but Barry's is not. Lisa can't die from raw damage, but if you have your own gun with a lot of knockback, like the Magnum, then you can actually knock her off the pedestal yourself if you want, and just outright kill her. Otherwise, you're just going to keep wasting ammo forever. So you pretty much have no choice but to push the rocks anyway. You just have a choice of whether you want to push Lisa off of the pedestal, just make her hang on the ledge, or just outright get rid of her. I'm grabbing the kerosene bottle that we put in earlier, because there's 3 zombies at the top level of the lab. And there's a canteen bottle, or a fuel jug, like a jerry can right there. I try to go for decaps, but for the zombies that I can't decap, I just burn them with the lighter. Of course, I left the lighter in the box, so I have to go back and get it. I don't remember, do I decapitate all these guys or not? I think I wasn't able to burn one of them. waiting for this guy to get back up. I will either stab another dagger into his head or I will decapitate him. But his friend came up right behind him. So decapitated him, wait for him. The third one did not get decapitated, so pretty much one shotgun shell after every defense item guarantees that a zombie is going to die. It is either going to be decapitated or it is not going to be decapitated. And in the case of that zombie, because we didn't hear the zombie's head splat, now we have to go back, grab the lighter, and burn its body. Which is really, like, this whole room here is the whole reason why I even bothered to grab the fuel canteen at all, because I don't want to have to deal with invisible Crimson Heads on the off chance that one of them does spawn on the way out. And I've had it happen maybe once or twice. Rather be safe than sorry. Because zombies can turn into Crimson Heads on your way out of the lab while it is self-destructing. But pretty much everywhere else, because any zombie corpses that we make are going to despawn, regardless of whether we decapitate them or not. We don't got to worry about burning the bodies or anything. As you can see, even the Magnum doesn't always have a 100% chance of decapitating zombies. But like I said, that zombie, it doesn't matter if you decapitate him or not. As long as you don't dilly-dally around, then he won't turn into a Crimson Head. Also, the code John Ada Cell. Crimson Head respawns are sometimes contextual, sometimes they respawn if certain event flags are passed. Otherwise, some of them are on a timer, but generally you won't sit in a room and have a Crimson Head just like spawn in front of you. Just make sure you keep track of which zombies you don't decapitate and make sure you burn them, and you should do pretty good. Code over here is 8462. The laboratory key should pretty much unlock the rest of the doors in the lab, except for the door that Chris is trapped behind. This is the first room where you encounter chimeras. If you push the shelf over here, then you can grab shotgun shells. I usually like to push the shelf and then go through the second vent over here because it puts me closer to the third vent. If you try to push the shelf on the far end of this part of the room, instead of going back through the vent, then it will trigger a chimera to spawn in here. And you will more than likely get hit while you are trying to push the shelf. So in the interest of safety, it's just better to go back through the way you came. That's both doors that this laboratory key can be used on. The naked zombies over here do not turn into Crimson Heads, so we can just go ahead and unload on them with the shotgun. You won't see their corpses regardless, because there's going to be a cutscene in this room with Barry. I heard the chimera go up on the ceiling, so I just decided to run forward. Chimeras do not have a direct attack while they're on the ceiling. They can only grab. So if they're on the ceiling, then you can just bait out a grab and use a defense item, preferably the stun gun. Excuse me, the stun gun. The stun gun. By doing so, it'll lock the Chimera's position in place if you were paying attention and you could see where he was. And you just aim up and drop him after that. There's not really too terribly much reason to grab the incendiary shells here. I just kind of grab it just in case. But if the Chimera was on the ground, then I would have just opted for a direct attack, since the shotgun, especially if you pump cancel. I have a pump canceling tutorial in another video, which I'm going to re-upload to my new channel. Someone please remind me in the comments to do so. I would greatly appreciate it. But pump canceling is probably the fastest way to deal DPS with a two-handed weapon. And I haven't really mentioned how to do it up to this point. But like I said, I have another video for it that explains it clearly. Anyway, so here's the infamous Nitro sequence. I actually got another run up to this point. But I wasn't paying attention and I ran and I killed myself. In general, when I'm doing a no damage run, I just tend to walk. I don't even run. I could run 2 steps, walk 2 steps, and still be safe, but I don't know. It's like, at this point, especially since I messed it up that last time, this is about as far as I had ever been in a no damage run up to this point, so I'm a little nervous. Trying to be careful. I don't want to accidentally run and explode. Even though I could run a few steps. Just like don't want to take any risks. 0. So, there's one more Chimera in this room, and as long as we take this exact route, that Chimera is just going to drop down. We don't got to worry about him ever. There's another going to drop down. We're going to use the Mo disc over here. Fortunately, as long as the Chimeras are not like moving on all fours with like their body on the ground, their overhead swing is actually really, really slow. So as long as you hug a wall, you can run directly around them, not have to worry about it. Case in point, I just did it again. One of many, many, many situations where knowing where the damage frames start on an enemy's attack that really pays off.
Jill.
The tyrant fight over here. I specifically use the flame rounds that I picked up earlier. Never mind. Just kidding. Five magnum rounds next to the lock. As long as you angle yourself completely opposite of the switch, you can drop him before he reaches you. So in most no damage runs, this is where the run would pretty much be complete, and all you would have to do is go to the heliport, but because I opted to fight the super tyrant on the heliport as well.
Self-destruct system has been activated. All personnel must evacuate immediately.
We also got to rescue Chris. I run that particular route in order to avoid a couple of chimeras coming out of the vents.
The self-destruct system has been activated. All personnel must evacuate immediately. Deactivating and releasing all logs. The self-destruct system has been activated. All personnel must evacuate immediately. Deactivating and releasing all logs.
There's one more box of flame rounds here.
The self-destruct system has been activated. All personnel must evacuate immediately. Deactivating and releasing all logs.
Also, I love how Chris just like glitches out if you try to stair skate up the stairs.
Has been activated.
I'm not sure if that's a PC-centric thing, because I think they redid a lot of the tracking on the HD version. Also, it's mighty peaceful on the way back. Don't gotta worry about no crimson heads. Nope, nope.
System has been activated. All personnel must evacuate immediately. Deactivating and releasing all logs. The self-destruct system has been activated. All personnel must evacuate immediately. Deactivating.
I think for Super Tyrant here, I opt for the weight strat.
3 minutes.
Took me a fair bit of waiting, a lot, to be able to refine this strat, but either way, you have to wait until the timer gets down to between 45 to 49 seconds. Because if it goes below 45, then what will happen is Brad will drop the rocket launcher, or sorry, if it goes below 50 seconds, then Brad will drop the rocket launcher when the timer gets down to 30 seconds. But I time it out a little longer until it hits like 45 seconds or so. So that way I wait as little as possible after the fight actually has started for Brad to drop the rocket launcher. And it pretty much guarantees for the most part that the tyrant is going to be in one space. At one point, I considered the idea of just starting the fight and just like trying to DPS the tyrant, simply because it's faster, but it's actually not going to be safer. The safest way to do it is to just wait for the timer to wind down, and taking advantage of Brad dropping the rocket launcher at 30 seconds. Do 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 do. Nine, 8, 7, 6, 5. I equip the flame rounds here, because Tyrant is going to hit Barry pretty much no matter what. Guess while he's still aggroed on Barry, I just had to make sure that I had a weapon equipped in case he grabbed Barry, because if he grabbed Barry, then he would have killed Barry. So, and one of the conditions is that I save Barry. It doesn't matter if he takes damage or not, because it's unavoidable whether he does or not. But basically, I just got the safest possible pattern that I could have gotten because he was still aggroed on Barry, and he wouldn't have chased after me because I didn't fire a single shot at him, except for the rocket. And that's the end of that. To my knowledge, this was probably the very first time ever that someone's completed Resident Evil HD Remaster on a visible enemy, getting no damage on best ending. Suffice it to say, even though people were very, very confused about the fact that this mode even existed, it still felt pretty fucking good to get this run done. Thank you guys very much for watching. If you enjoyed watching this run, please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Hit that motherfucking bell or whatever. You can also check out my Twitch channel at twitch.tv/CarcinogenSDA. I do live streams over there full time. You can also check out my other videos by going to the description of any one of my videos and clicking on a playlist. Or if you feel so inclined, there's ways to support my content. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Totally up to you, though. But anyway, thank you all very much for watching, and I will see you all next video. Oh yeah, last but not least, I want to give a shout out to my Twitch channel. This was recorded in front of a live studio audience at twitch.tv/CarcinogenSDA. Say hi, chat. See y'all later. Thanks for watching.
Jill, you did a fine job.
Oh yeah, I almost forgot. The whole reason why I played this on English to begin with, there's a little bonus. Like basically a thank you from the developer, since this is pretty much the hardest challenge that Resident Evil HD Remaster has to offer, completing the game on Invisible Enemy. You get like a message from Shinji Mikami as like a little Easter egg. Thank you for taking the time to play all the way through Biohazard Resident Evil. If you're reading this letter, I salute you. You are truly a remarkable player. I imagine you must have had some pretty memorable experiences along the way. The pain of seeing the game over screen time after time, the sweet taste of victory after you finally beat the game, the feelings of camaraderie you shared with your character, the excitement, and the overwhelming sense of dread. We believe that games are more than just the product of a team of developers. It takes the support of dedicated players like you to make a game worthwhile. For this reason, we are truly delighted when someone enjoys one of our games as thoroughly as you have. Therefore, on behalf of the entire staff, please allow me to express our gratitude and congratulate you on a job well done. Thank you very much for playing. Shinji Mikami, Dev Team Representative. And also some unused costume designs. Too bad. Like, too bad or too bad. We also got a Karate Gi Chris Redfield imposed over screenshots of the game. That's pretty cool. We got the Sarah Connor. And I think that design on the right was later recycled into RE5. Wetsuit. And we got Jill Sensei on the left. There's a little slit in the skirt. They want to point that out. Just a little bonus if you can actually read the Japanese. Black leather. Lace on the top of her dress. We got Rebecca. The one on the far right, I think, is just like an alternative version of her original director's cut costume. I think the one in the middle is from the basketball photo that was found in Resident Evil 2. Western boots. Actually, no, the one on the left is from Resident Evil Director's Cut. That was her alt costume from Director's Cut. Right, but anyway, that was it. Thank you all for watching, and see you all next video.